My guest at this time is an ECW original and the host of the Mind of the Meanie. It's the Blue Meanie. Blue Meanie, thank you very much for taking some time to chat with me here today.
Brother, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm always excited when you ask me to come on.
Hey, I love chatting with you, man. And like we've been chatting on the show for like a couple years now. And this show, I think we may have chatted back in the past, but like you have your own platform now here, Mind of the Meanie. It's just turned a year old. It's you and Josh Chernoff here.
Yeah.
Congratulations, man. It's a big accomplishment when you make anything last for a year here. How does it feel being 1 year in with the show?
I'm excited, man. Dude, it's just like I see so many guys start podcasts and then they kind of just fizzle out.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm all gung ho. I'm starting this new podcast, follow me, bro. And then a couple episodes in, they're like, man, this is kind of like work. And people always ask me, hey, they tell me I either should write a book or do a podcast. But it's just like, I apologize if I told the story before. It's like when you find somebody to work with, not only do they represent the show, but they represent you out in the world. And I was always worried, man, like I can, who do I trust and all that good stuff to not embarrass me. And so I found I started doing a bunch of interviews with Josh, and he's a local guy. He's right here in the Philly area. So we got our love of Philly sports and all that stuff. And one time I was just driving home. I was like, man, long story short or short story long, depending on, how you want the answer to go.
Sure. Yeah.
I said, that Josh kid's pretty good. We got a good rapport. He's here in Philly. And we were going to do it in the studio, like go to an actual studio and do it. And then the apocalypse happened. And hence why we have our own home studios now. So we kind of evolved into this. But your question is, how's it been going? It's been going really good, man. We just did our first year anniversary show, which seems like, it feels like we started a podcast yesterday.
Well, I think it's because the pandemic. Their time really just kind of stops existing right now, so.
It's like the movie Groundhog's Day. Every day's the same day. And, you're just trying to, keep things interesting, keep things fun. When it comes to the podcast, a lot of people do show reviews and critiques and that and the other thing. I'm like, man, how do you stand out in a world where everybody's seems like everybody has a podcast, and we just talk about whatever comes to mind, hence the Mind of the Meanie. We don't paint ourselves into a corner, so to speak. If we were interview driven, I think I would go through that. I would have been through my Rolodex pretty quick. I would have been hitting somebody 2 or 3 times up for an interview, but eventually we do have interviews and stuff like that. But it's just fun to it's basically just me and Josh, shooting the breeze, and it's like basically a phone call between 2 friends, but everybody's eavesdropping.
Yeah, and I would think that, the year that you've had in the pandemic, this has been something that's a bit of a reprieve for you, that's offered you like a creative outlet to kind of keep momentum going and keep your brand going here when the rest of the world has kind of gotten a little dark, right?
Oh, absolutely. Dude, I had so many bookings, and 2020 was going to be my year. And then the pandemic hit, and then all that went away. And it's like, well, how do I, I mean, and we were talking about doing this podcast before the pandemic and all that stuff. And we were hoping on, doing, promoting the podcast through going to shows and doing conventions. And because I love doing conventions and, getting the word out that way. But everything we've been doing is word of mouth, online, and then just straight up hustling and trying to get the, pound the proverbial cyber payments.
Yeah.
Can't really do much, but just hope people, I can. And the kicker is, I would love to know what our numbers are good, but I would like to see what our numbers would be if I was actually able to go out into the world and properly promote it, like at shows and conventions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I appreciate doing interviews like this. This is great. And you've been a big supporter, and, your support's been invaluable. But just to get out, kind of like running for mayor, go out, kiss the baby, shake the hands, put the pins on people. I don't know.
Well, I was gonna say, like, if you were out in the field right now promoting, you guys have done a wonderful job with the marketing and the branding and everything, all the shirts and all of the nice logo you guys have and everything. It looks really nice. It's a fun product to be a part of, you know.
Shout out to Hal Haney, does tremendous artwork.
Yeah, excellent stuff, dude. I mean, just in general, we were talking before we connected. This blue aesthetic you've got going on here, it's just really nice, you know. I mean,
Thank you. Credit to Mrs. Meanie. She did this whole room. This little inside baseball. This room used to be my mom's bedroom, and then she moved in with my sister. And it was just a room we threw stuff in. You know, where we put. Start in the back room. So we cleaned this out. Our middle room became the new back room for our useless stuff that we hide when we, have guests.
okay.
But Mrs. Meanie painted the wall. She hung photos. She put this shelf together. She hung my BWO championship belt, and she reupholstered this bed that's behind us. That's like the aesthetic and stuff like that. And she put up all the LED lights. So shout out to Mrs. Meanie, man. She's been my MVP in the apocalypse.
Well, awesome, man. Well, we got a big season coming up here, obviously. Well, we're in the season for WrestleMania right now. Everybody's very excited. I'm sure you guys are getting a boom of interest right now as well, since you're so notable in pro wrestling. What's your excitement level here for WrestleMania this year, Meanie?
Ah, man, I wish it was a little bit bigger. And it's not only, no, it's hard to gauge because you don't know if it's half creative or half pandemic, where like in the beginning of the pandemic and they were having empty arena shows, I was like, oh, this is interesting. Let me see how this goes. And a month goes by, 2 months goes by. It's kind of like you're eating saltines, I'm begging somebody to give me a Ritz cracker with some cheese on it. It's just, it's kind of hard to digest and a little dry. You need a little extra water to swallow what, they're pumping out product wise, but hey, WrestleMania is WrestleMania. I say wrestling is like pizza, you know, when it's good, it's great. When it's bad, it's pizza, sometimes wrestling's wrestling. And when it's good, it's awesome. When it's bad, I'll put it on in the background and, take a nap like an infant,
Yeah, well, you bring up the creative and the pandemic thing, and I wonder if they kind of go hand in hand. I mean, do you get the vibe a little bit that they're sitting on some stuff right now, like waiting to pull the trigger for when fans come back? So we're not getting them at full steam right now creatively, just because they don't want to be at full steam creatively right now with the no fans in attendance kind of deal.
Yeah, that's why I feel bad for a guy like Drew McIntyre. His whole title reign's been in front of no fans.
Yeah.
And when you see that Royal Rumble and that build up to him taking on Brock Lesnar and how they react to him winning the Royal Rumble, and just watch the crowd. Watch the crowd. And then he gets to WrestleMania and there's no fans. It's like my heart breaks for the guy. So like you said, they could be sitting on a few things that they've been waiting to, unleash, so to speak, until fans come back. There's a lot of things I wish, companies like AEW would have sat on until, fans came back. Imagine the first show where there's, they've had fans, but like full arena shows and stuff like that. Imagine Big Show walks out. Imagine Christian walks out in front of an arena full of fans, and the television moment you could have.
Yeah. I agree with you on that. And that was a little weird, right? Where they announced Paul Wight, on social media, like the Wednesday morning before a Dynamite that he didn't appear on. Like, I think I'm with you and a lot of other fans where it would have been cool to just see somebody like him just show up on AEW Dynamite,
Yeah, and I want all wrestling to do good. I love AEW, I love WWE, I love NXT, I love Ring of Honor, I love all wrestling. I want everybody to do good and prosper. But man, just save some for the honeymoon, save some for when the fans come back, so to speak, and just sit on a few things. We're rounding. I think we're rounding the corner with the vaccine, and I'm not trying to get political and all that stuff, but people are getting their shots, and people are eventually today's opening day in baseball in Philly, and Pennsylvania's allowing X amount of fans in the stadiums, or the venues for the hockey games, and all that good stuff. Eventually, you're going to have fans back for wrestling, and hopefully they've saved some stuff for when fans come back, because I don't care what it is. Sometimes if I'm watching a wrestling match, I'm watching the match, and then I'll rewind it and watch the fans. You know, Savage Steamboat. I'll watch the match, I'll rewind it, then I'm strictly watching the crowd. You know, just different things, you know. And it's a good learning tool too, just to watch the fans and stuff like that. And now that that's been completely stripped away, and you know, wrestlers have nothing to feed off of. You know, it's rough. I mean, it was like I said, the first month was interesting. I remember, oh, this will be over in 2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
And 2 months later, oh man, sheesh. I wish, you know, these fans would, I wish this thing would get over, and you know, we get some fans back.
Well, we are going to have 25,000 fans each night at WrestleMania, right? So this will kind of be the first time WWE has had a chance to hear and feel that fan reaction here in about a year or so.
Yeah.
Back to kind of Drew McIntyre there, man. You talk about how he had that opportunity kind of taken from him last year because of the no fans and how it felt a little empty, you know, when he beat Brock Lesnar. This year he's coming in as the challenger, man, and Bobby Lashley is as hot as he's ever been. I mean, what's your vibe here on this one, man? Is this gonna be a crowning achievement for Drew? He's gonna get that win in front of the fans, or do you think that they're gonna double down on Lashley here and keep pushing this guy?
Man, I love both characters, by the way. I love both performers. And this has like a Clash of the Titans type feel, you know, just two big muscular competitors. They can just clash until the end, you know. There's a really good story here. Both very capable performers, and I mean, they looked the part, you know. But yeah, man, I think I'm a big Drew fan.
Yeah.
And I think I want him to have his due in front of the fans. Will they do it? I don't know. But I mean, it would be nice to see all that buildup they did prior to the pandemic play out in front of people. You know, he's a two-time former champion. You know, get that third title almost a year today. Oh, not a year today, but almost a year away from when this whole thing started. You know, in front of fans.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, the thing about Lashley is, man, they're doing everything they can to put heat on this guy. Because I mean, if the goal here is for McIntyre to get a meaningful win in front of fans, he's got like to beat a meaningful bad guy here. And you know, they went as far as to have Lashley even kind of take out his own guys to show his toughness here and kind of implode the Hurt Business on Monday night. You know, Batista has come out and said that it's way too soon for this. Do you agree? What did you think about the Hurt Business imploding on Monday?
I mean, that's the state of the business we're in right now. It's like we live in a microwave mentality where I think people hit the panic and they're like, okay, well, it's 3 weeks in or it's 3 months in. We got to break this thing up. And the Hurt Business is one of the best things to have going in WWE right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great stable, you know, and yeah, way too soon. It's disappointing, you know. Somebody up there needs to have like somebody to stand back and go, wait, take your time, let it breathe. Like you open up a bottle of wine, you sniff it, you know, you swish it around, you appreciate. We haven't really had a chance to really appreciate the Hurt Business. I mean, they've been around, but to have this whole thing, like you say, and implodes the perfect word for it. I don't get it, man. I missed it. Okay, here's the old man, you know, yelling at the clouds. I miss when like storylines would last for a year, and then you have a beginning, a first act, third act, second act, third act. Now it's just like, okay, we got this thing. Okay, now it's over. Everything feels way too rushed.
Well, and it's interesting from your perspective too, Meanie, because there was a real tenacity, right, during the Attitude Era Monday Night Wars, and I know that you were posting recently about your WrestleMania 15 appearance with Goldust there, in the throes of the Attitude Era and everything, and I mean, it just doesn't, from your perspective, like, is it weird just like not seeing that same kind of tenacity from WWE right now, where I don't know what it is, like I can't put my finger exactly on it right now.
I mean, right now would be the perfect time to take your time.
Yeah.
Especially with no crowd there. Okay, guys, everything we had planned, we're just gonna stretch it out. Like Taffy, just stretch it out. Stretch Armstrong, stretch it out. Yeah. It's like when you're in a match and you're like, man, where's the go home cue? And they're just like, oh, stretch it out, stretch it out. It's just, yeah, I don't know. Right now, this would be the perfect era just to let things breathe, stretch things out. I don't know why. And like, I was in the Attitude Era, and a lot of things were hot shotted back then. But how long did Rock Austin last? They went over the course of a couple WrestleManias.
Yeah.
Austin versus McMahon, that lasted over a course of a couple WrestleManias. Rock Austin had the trilogy at WrestleMania and stuff like that. And yeah, they hot shotted a couple things here and there. I rewatched WrestleMania 15. I was like, man, they really did, like, one segment, Vince McMahon's the heel, and then in the next segment, he's a heel against, Steve Austin, and the next segment, he's a babyface against the Undertaker when Undertaker's burning the doll and stuff like that. It's like, ooh, they were really all over the place, but whatever it was magical, and it had fans, that's why I kind of hate when they say right now we're in the middle of the Wednesday Night Wars. It's like, it's not really a war when you're fighting over decimal points, really. Back in the Monday Night Wars, it was full 8s versus 9s, 8 point whatever, 9 point whatever. Now it's like 0.05. It's like calculus. I don't know.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, you're right, man. You're absolutely right. That's a really good point. And to that end, like with NXT moving to Tuesday nights, I mean, do you see that as a win, as a loss? Like, what's your vibe on them having to move nights here?
Well, here's the thing. It's like Wednesday night was originally NXT's night anyway. I don't know why people got mad at NXT for going to 2 hours. I mean, I've always been accustomed since I got the WWE Network to watch NXT on Wednesday night. I don't know how they were painted as the bad guy here. So it was their night. But then again, them moving to Tuesdays is a win for the fans because you're not really forcing anybody to choose,
Yeah.
so to speak. When the fans are forced to choose, somebody's got to lose. And the whole thing with the ratings is laughable. Now that we live in the age of streaming and DVR and all that good stuff, ratings really don't mean anything. I could watch AEW live, and then the next night watch NXT commercial free on the network. So that was a win for me because there's no commercials.
Yeah.
So moving to Tuesdays. There's really no losers, and it's really not a defeat, and it's not really a win because in the day's TV world, ratings are meaningless.
Wow, it's kind of bleak the way you say it like that. I don't know why it sounds so bleak. I don't know.
It is. It's a rate. I mean, I can watch it live now, or I can tape it and watch it later. Or there's different ways you can watch wrestling now, and then or digest it. You can have the full course now, or you can have some leftover, put it in a doggy bag and have it for later. It's just, it isn't what it was back in the day. It wasn't. Wrestling today is not appointment television like it used to be.
Yeah.
People used to have nitro parties.
I mean, what do you think I mean, I guess maybe I kind of know the answer to my own question here. I feel like when fans get back, there's going to be a different kind of excitement level, right? Like it's very bland right now because it's like just hard for anybody to get excited about anything. I do wonder if when like fans are back and we're seeing crowds again, if we won't get some more of that stuff, if people won't become more invested again,
Yeah, because I mean, going to an event is an event. You gotta, if you're married with kids, you gotta, or if you're a married couple and you want a night out, you got to get a babysitter, or sometimes you'll plan the date out. You'll go have dinner before, and then you'll go to the show, and then go home and whatever. There's a lot of things that revolve around going to an event, kind of like going to a concert, or any kind of live situation or a Broadway play. I think when the crowds come back, there's going to be a new level of enthusiasm because sometimes you don't know what, the quote Cinderella, you don't know what you got until it's gone. These fans are accustomed to going to shows and stuff like that, and you rip it away. When they go back, I think there's going to be a new sense of enthusiasm as far as being at a show live.
And it's going to be a little weird too, man, because like WWE, AEW to a lesser extent, because they've had fans there, but WWE has really like controlled the narrative of who is good and bad on their programming, and totally unchecked, right? Because there's no fans there to
Yeah.
cheer or boo when they don't want them to cheer or boo. I'm really interested, man, at WrestleMania to see if everybody gets the reactions that WWE has been booking. Like, I almost feel like there may even be kind of a I don't know about I call it a double turn, but I do worry like with as hot as Lashley is right now, and like McIntyre kind of moving into that Roman Reigns spot, if fans will get behind a Lashley, in this situation, or Roman for that
Yeah.
matter, as good as he is,
It's the great unknown. it's it's just like you're gonna lift up the cage, the fans are gonna run in and just how are they gonna react? Well, we don't know. We shall see, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, one person I wanted to get your opinion on from NXT is Cameron Grimes. What do you
Eh,
think of the work that Grimes is doing right now?
Dude, he's so entertaining. Just when he was doing the stock market gimmick and stuff like that. He's entertaining. He's a hell of an athlete. He was trained by some good people and Shane Helms and or coached along by Shane Helms. I don't know that I know they had a relationship. So yeah, he's super entertaining, man. And to me, NXT is like the superior brand right now in
Yeah.
the world of the NXT WWE.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very polished product they have over at NXT, right? I mean,
Yeah,
Dynamite right now is there's strengths, but it's a little all over the place, man. I mean, how do you feel about the decision and this is something that coming right out of Dynamite last night. How do you feel about the decision to make sure everybody seems to be in some kind of stable or faction right now in AEW?
it's like the early WWE Attitude Era where you had the Disciples of Apocalypse and the Breakwas and all that stuff, and everybody had to be in the gang. And to me, some of those factions don't even make sense. I love Chris Jericho, but there's like really no continuity there. It's just like, I would love to see Eddie Kingston with, the LAX guys and stuff like that. And, people who can relate to each other, just, Jericho's a rocker, I can see him being with Jake Hagar, stuff like, dude, my dream, I, I, I'm glad I thought of it. I'm glad you brought this up. I'd love to see Jake Hagar and Miro with Taz.
Huh.
You got the shooters. I mean, it could be like a varsity club type gimmick, a Team Taz version, 2021, where you got all the shooters, and Taz is stable. It's just a lot of the stables don't make sense to me. It's just like the movie The Breakfast Club. Just there's so many different characters in one room that it don't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
Well, and like in particular, the one that stood out to me last night was watching Ricky Starks in Team Taz, where I was just like, I don't. I mean, like I get the concept of Team Taz, but Ricky Starks just doesn't feel like he fits that vibe.
Ricky Starks would have been perfect in Jericho's gimmick because they're both flamboyant. They're both not. They're both. I hate the word to use arrogant, but cocky. They're cocky.
Yeah.
I mean, can you see? I could see Jericho mentoring a young Ricky Starks. They're both the same kind of character. Just Jericho's the history, and Ricky Stark's the future. And Ricky Starks is a phenomenal performer. Just there's a lot of miscasting going on in AEW.
Well, and the other thing that AEW is doing a lot of is their the inter-promotional stuff, specifically with Impact, right?
Yeah,
Like, do you
which
think
I don't get, but
I mean, to talk. I mean, like, what would you see as the logic in it? Seems way more favorable for Impact, and even Impact doesn't even seem to be getting the rub anymore off this.
no, I just don't get it. AEW has the upper hand. AEW should worry about being AEW and doing what AEW has to do.
Yeah.
I like look, I've I love every performer who dresses up and laces up a pair of boots in Impact, but I just don't get Impact. I enjoy it. Again, this is nothing against the performers, but it seems wherever Impact goes, other companies suffer. The Owl company took on Impact, and they had to gut a whole part of their company to be able to afford Impact. I know a lot of people who lost jobs up there in Canada because they had to take Impact into their company. Now, the company that owns Impact,
Anthem Entertainment.
what's that?
Anthem Entertainment. That's the Owl company. Yeah.
Thank you, Ambient or whatever. Now they take on Access, and then they had to completely gut Access to bring on this wrestling company. Access was doing pretty good before Impact came along. They had New Japan, they had all these really cool this great programming, and it just seems like there's this black cloud around Impact that just negatively affects any company that takes on Impact. Now, hopefully, that doesn't rub off on AEW, because I want AEW to focus on being AEW, and just I hope this isn't a distraction from AEW doing what they have to do to further their product.
I agree, and as much as it's like the AEW being affected, it's almost more like Kenny Omega, right? Like, this is your champion right now. This is the guy who's supposed to be your top dog, and I don't know if it's created some kind of disconnect, where you see him in this smaller promotion, so he doesn't seem as big. I don't know what it is, but like Kenny Omega finally on top as AEW champion just doesn't feel as big as I thought it would be when it finally happened. If that resonates with you.
Yeah, taking taking Kenny Omega out of the AEW sphere does not benefit Kenny Omega. Putting him on Impact when he should just strictly be AEW. The AEW World Champion should be the crown jewel of AEW programming, so to speak. He should be involved in the TV show in some form or another. And I would even go to the point of saying, save his matches for pay-per-views or specials and stuff like that. Growing up, I didn't see Hulk Hogan wrestle on TV every week, but he was always there in some aspect. Don't give away the AEW heavyweight title matches. And Kenny Omega is phenomenal athlete, phenomenal performer, great charisma. Keep him on TV, but just save his bump card for the specials and stuff like that.
Well, I do want to put over one thing I think we can both agree of that AEW has done right here, and that is giving Orange Cassidy the Pixies Where Is My Mind as his theme song, right? I mean, that's like that. I mean, all things aside, that's got to be the coolest thing in pro wrestling right now, is it not?
I am so jealous of Orange Cassidy.
Right?
Yeah, he gets so much out of doing, like I say, less is more. I always say less is more. If you feel like you're going slow, go even slower. And boy, I watch Orange Cassidy do what he does and get over and get a reaction, and I am envious. Besides the fact that he's a great guy anyway, I like when good people do good. So like, I love everything he's doing now. He's great. I just laugh because he's so over, and this isn't in a bad way. I laugh because I wish I get away with doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And I do thumb wrestling in the ring, and so it's like
Real compliment to Orange. You're like, you work even lighter than the Meanie, my friend.
oh, me and him can have a fake off. I don't know. Dude, no, seriously, when the whole pandemic started and we were like, oh, hopefully this gets back soon. I was going to start a petition and, Blue Meanie versus Orange Cassidy, Blue versus Orange, or, stuff like that. I would love to at least work with him one time, or at least, sorry, I got Impact on the brain. AEW comes back to Philadelphia and has a live event, have an ECW appearance or something like that, and me and Orange Cassidy do something.
Tony does love ECW, that's for sure.
Tony's a great dude, man. Back in the 90s, when AOL was a thing, I used to always go into chats, and there was a chat that was always myself, Mike Johnson from PW Insider, our mutual friend Jeremiah, who has an excellent Instagram page called Too Fast for Blood. It's got some really good ECW arena photos because he's ringside for all those shows. And they use some of his photos for Dark Side of the Ring. Jeremiah, our mutual friend Dell, who works for Guns N' Roses, and Tony Khan was in that room too. And we were chatting and trading tapes back in the day, and like you knew he loved ECW, and he was there. Then I was just thinking about this the other night. He was on the one of the last shows ECW ran at the Lulu Temple. It was a Lulu Temple ECW arena weekend, and that's the weekend we did Kiss both nights. But
Oh,
they aired the one from the arena. But you know, our test run was in Lulu Temple in case anything went wrong. Our dress rehearsal, and Tony was there for both of those nights.
wow, dude! I didn't know it ran that deep.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We were in the old AOL chats.
Wow. One last thing I wanted to ask you about here that I think is really cool. There's an independent pro wrestling video game out there, RetroMania, and you're a part of this. I know it's been built. I mean, I've been seeing stuff for I think like 2 years now, hyping this thing. It's finally out there. Fans can play it. You know, I think you can get it on Switch right now as well. It just came out. What's this like for you, man? Like, what do you think of the game? Like, how is it for you to be in this kind of cool, big independent project that happened here?
Dude, it's so cool that in the year 2021, I'm in in a release of a new video game. RetroMania Wrestling by Retrosoft Studios. It's been in the works for a couple years now, and it was slated to come out last summer, but again, the pandemic threw a monkey wrench in everything between our testers, the people who test the games and put the games together, quarantining and stuff like that. Just the pandemic really it took its toll on the game, but the fact that it's coming out now is awesome. They were kind enough to send me a console, which is right over here to my left.
I saw you. That's why I brought it up because I was like, "That's the coolest thing." Well, and I think it's a cool game, but that console's awesome, man.
Dude, I'm such a geek. And I think Mrs. Meanie likes it more than I love it. And Mrs. Meanie's been playing it way more than I've had a chance to play it yet. But it's really cool. Mike Herman and Michael Archer over there at Retrosoft Studios, who put this project together, this is a passion project. But if anything's, you could call it anything, it's been a passion project. And the fact that they got the company who developed the original WrestleFest to endorse this and deem it the official sequel to the arcade game WrestleFest has been awesome. But yeah, it's so awesome to be in a video game and get to play. I got to play some of the rough versions. We did conventions and stuff like that, and right before the pandemic hit, we did the PAX East up in Boston to promote the game.
Yeah.
And guys like Xavier Woods came over, and played it, and Mega Ran did the song, the RetroMania theme, and everybody who played just the rough version loved it. But now it's in its all its glory. There's going to be the initial release, and then they're going to have downloadable content. They just made a deal with Mr. Hughes and James Storm,
Okay.
and they're going to be a part of the game. And hopefully there'll be more downloadable content, with different arenas and stuff like that. I'm trying to push for a Mind of the Meanie arena, so we'll see what happens. But dude, right now, RetroMania Wrestling's available on Xbox, Switch. It's in the testing process for PS4. They're just making sure there's no kinks in it on the PlayStation end. And within a week, it should be available on every single console.
Wow, dude, that's awesome. How cool! And like,
so exciting.
I don't know why it is, but like, I know that I really enjoyed playing as you in WrestleMania 2000. But I have a lot of friends that have told me at random points that like you're their favorite character to play with in that particular video game.
That's very cool. That's very cool because you always wonder, how am I doing? How's my character and stuff like that. And, not only in wrestling, but otherwise, a lot of people say my character is very toyetic, so to speak. We have the Mind of the Meanie 2-pack action figure set with myself and Josh Chernoff coming out through Cella Toys.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's the old Hasbro design.
Very cool.
So yeah, that's coming out soon. Go to cellatoys.net. So in 2021, I'm doing a podcast. I'm in RetroMania. I got an action figure coming out with, Josh, based around my podcast that we started as a way to, we started early because of the pandemic and stuff like that. Just so I'm very fortunate, it sounds corny to say blessed, but I feel blessed in a lot of ways that, a lot of things could have went the other way in my life and career. And the fact that I'm still here, the fact that you wanted me to come on your show means a lot, because I know time is a valuable thing in this world. And I said it with the RetroMania. I was like, time and money is a valuable commodity. And for the fact that RetroMania wanted to not only have me in the game, but they put me on the console, they put me on in the artwork and stuff like that. That's a commitment. And that's a good feeling to know that people trust you with their brand.
Yeah, 100%, man. Well, of course, you're a friend of the show, man. Every couple months, I'd love to have you on here, right? And Josh on too from time to time. So,
Yeah, yeah.
great guys. Well, Meanie, very excited about everything you're doing right now. Where do you want to send people to find you, follow you, support you, and Josh, and all those great things right now?
If you want to support Mind of the Meanie drops every Monday morning at 6 a.m. And then that same evening at 6 p.m., you can watch the video version on Fight TV. It's kind of like back in the day when Howard Stern would have his radio show, and then later on the night, you would see some clips on the E network, kind of that aesthetic. So you can download Mind of the Meanie wherever you get your favorite podcasts. Again, you can watch it on Fight TV. Go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Mind of the Meanie, where we also the next day upload the video version of our show. We have specials on there right now. We have Mrs. Meanie showing you how to assemble the RetroMania cabinet, and Mrs. Meanie does a segment called Mrs. Meanie Running, where she talks about her her favorite WrestleMania entrances. You can also go to if you want to support the Blue Meanie, you go to prowrestlingtees.com/Blue Meanie, or you could go to prowrestlingtees.com/Mind of the Meanie. I'm on Cameo amongst a million other people who do Cameo. Go to cameo.com/Blue Meanie BWO, and I'll give you a well wish and all that good stuff. But yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for having. Oh, and speaking of WrestleMania, it's WrestleMania season. Meanie Mania is going to be on Fight TV.
You had a big fight thing coming up here.
Yeah, we're going to do a 1 hour recap show direct as soon as WrestleMania goes off the air. Me and Josh are going to be on Fight TV talking about that night's events. So go to Fight TV, and you can register at Fight TV for free. Don't get caught up going there last second and having to register last second. You can register right now. There's plenty of free content on there as well. So both nights after WrestleMania, Meanie Mania on Fight TV.